All right, let's get into it. We're looking at just 2 paragraphs from the historian Josephus, but believe me, packed inside these few sentences is a total masterclass in how to build a dynasty. This is the story of a young, hot-headed commander who's about to throw his entire nation into a civil war, and the incredible strategic pivot that would, well, change everything for his family's future. And really, that brings us to the big question here, right? How do you build something that lasts? Do you just take power in one big, fiery move driven by pure ambition? Or is it something you build patiently, piece by piece, through smart alliances? The 2 events we're about to see, back to back, lay this conflict out perfectly. It's all about personal pride versus political patience. So, our story kicks off with a name you definitely know, Herod. But this isn't Herod the Great yet. Nope. Right now, he's a young, super ambitious general, and he is seriously ticked off. He's just been dragged through a public trial, and for a guy with his ego, that's an insult he just can't let slide. And he doesn't, just fire off an angry tweet. No way. He gets his army together, and he marches them straight for the capital, Jerusalem. This is way more than just a show of force. This is a direct challenge to the king. The personal has just become very, very political. And who's he marching against? Get this, it's King Hyrcanus, the very guy who made him and his family who they are, their biggest supporter. Herod is literally ready to overthrow his own king and benefactor, which would have absolutely shattered the peace in Judea and kicked off a brutal civil war. The stakes just could not be any higher. So, picture the scene. Herod's army is marching, you can feel the rebellion in the air, but as he gets close to the city, it's not the king's army that comes out to meet him, it's his own family. His dad, Antipater, and his brother, Phasaelus, ride out to stop him, not with swords, but with words. See, they knew something that the enraged Herod had totally forgotten. His anger, even if he felt was justified, was a strategic dead end. It was going to destroy everything they had all worked so hard to build. They couldn't fight his army, so they had to get inside his head. And this is the core of their argument. It's just a brilliant piece of strategy. They basically tell him, look, having a just cause, or at least looking like you have one, is more powerful than any army. Starting a civil war against your own king, that's an unjust cause, and that makes it a losing game, no matter how many soldiers you have. So they just start dismantling his anger, one piece at a time. First, loyalty. This guy helped us, don't attack him. Then, perspective. Hey, you were acquitted, that's a win, don't focus on the insult. Then they go for the big one, reminding him that, God is the one who ultimately decides who wins worse. And finally, they give him a perfect political out, a way to save face. It wasn't the king's fault, it was his bad advisor. And what do you know? It actually works. Herod backs down. He gets it. Just by marching on the city, he's already shown everyone how powerful he is. The threat did all the work for him, without having to pay the terrible price of a real war. And that is lesson number 1 from the Herodian playbook. No one to show restraint at home. Okay, so just as that crisis cools down, Josephus does something really cool. He kind of zooms the camera out, pulling us away from all the drama in Judea to show us the much bigger, much bloodier mess that's happening in the wider Roman world. And that little phrase, in the meantime, is so important. Josephus is telling us these 2 stories are connected. The local politics of a place like Judea, which was kind of its own kingdom but really under Rome's thumb, are completely tangled up with the giant civil wars of the Roman bosses. What's about to happen in Syria is going to have huge consequences for Herod and his family. And at the center of all this new chaos is a guy named Sextus Caesar. He's related to the one and only Julius Caesar, and he's the Roman governor of Syria. Basically, he is Roman power in the region. His presence keeps things stable. But that stability is about to get blown to pieces because Sextus Caesar gets murdered. And in that instant, a massive power vacuum opens up. Every local ruler, Herod's family included, has to make a terrifying choice. Who do you side with? The rebels who just killed the governor and stole his army, or the remaining forces loyal to Caesar? You choose wrong, and you're toast. So let's just break down how this all went down. First, the slaughter. The killer, Bossus, was an old enemy of Julius Caesar. He immediately grabs control of the Roman legions there. So, what happens next? All the other Roman commanders loyal to Caesar team up to crush this guy. And what does Herod's father, Antipater, do? He doesn't even blink. He sends his sons and his soldiers to help Caesar's side. This was a huge, huge gamble. But it was a calculated one. They were betting everything on Team Caesar.
the side they figured would end up winning in the long run. They were sending a crystal clear message to Rome. We are your guys. We are reliable. You can count on us when things get ugly. And that is lesson number 2, unwavering external allegiance.
So now when you put these two stories together, Herod backing down from Jerusalem and his father immediately backing Caesar, you start to see it. You see the incredibly smart two-pronged strategy this family was using to claw their way to the top. It's really a fascinating look at how power actually works. And this lays it out perfectly. On the inside, their policy was restraint. They played nice with the local king, even when Herod was furious, because keeping the peace at home was priority number 1. But on the outside, to the Romans, it was all about allegiance, total, unwavering loyalty and military support, because they knew their real power came from keeping their Roman patrons happy. And those are the 2 pillars holding up their entire dynasty. 1, don't start fires at home. Avoid civil war at all costs. 2, prove you are the most useful, most dependable ally the Romans could ever ask for. By mastering both of these, they managed to walk the tightrope of Judean politics while surviving the absolute meat grinder of the Roman civil wars. So in this one incident, we see that Herod could choose strategy over rage thanks to his father's advice. But we also get a real flash of that ruthless ambition that was always simmering right under the surface. It leaves you with a really chilling question for the rest of his life story, doesn't it? Once that voice of reason, his father, was gone, what was that unchecked ambition really capable of?